You're listening to The Social Workers on WCDB Albany.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Social Workers live radio show here on WCDB 90.9 FM in Albany. My name is Eric Hardiman, and I'm the co-host of the Social Workers here with my regular co-host, Alyssa Lotmore. Welcome back, Alyssa.
Hi, Eric.
We are excited to have another show for you here at the Social Workers. The show today features 4 graduate students in the School of Social Welfare here at the University at Albany. The students are Laqueena Fernandez, Michelle Knights, Jill Holland, and Christina Hess Al-Junaid. And we're very excited to have 4 MSW students. The 4 of you are getting your master's degrees in social work. And the reason that we've decided to have you on the air today is that that you have a project that you're doing for a class. This is a capstone class in social welfare. The course is entitled Community Engagement and Social Change. And so the 4 of you have come up with a very innovative, exciting idea for a way to foster social change in the community. And so Alyssa and I wanted to talk to you about that project. So welcome to the Social Workers.
Thank you.
Thank you
for having us.
Good morning.
So the MSW Capstone Project is currently not a requirement, but something that you voluntarily choose to do. Briefly tell us why you chose this route, because in my opinion, it's a little bit or more challenging, a little bit more work to do this type of project, which is connected with community, than simply taking a class. So tell us why you chose this.
Well, I chose it because I wanted more of a hands-on experience. You learn all the information in the classroom, but actually having the chance to apply it and go through the process. I just wanted that experience.
I would say that I chose this class because community engagement has always been sort of the center of my life. I'm always involved in something in the community, whether a service project or working with a student group. But I never really had the opportunity to do that in a class setting, and so I was sort of intrigued into how you could sort of fit the traditional idea of academic learning and knowledge with a social change project, and thinking about leadership and social change in a more radical way. So that's sort of what drew me to this class.
Interesting, okay.
Yeah, I chose this class because I wanted to do something different for my last year in my MSW program. I feel like I learned a lot my first year about the foundations of social work, and then I really wanted to kind of take it to the next level and see how I could actually apply it to doing a community project.
I chose this class because I'm really interested in experiencing kind of the intersection between micro and macro social work. I'm a micro student, but I have a lot of love for the macro world too, and so being able to kind of hands-on use both those skills and kind of, I guess, dip into both sides of social work.
So the term community engagement can be slippery sometimes, and not everybody has the same definition. What does community engagement mean to you?
I think it kind of means really knowing the community that you're going to be working in, interacting with the people, kind of like a boots on the ground approach instead of just looking at chart reviews and assessments, but really becoming, because in most communities we are, somewhat of an outsider, so really integrating into the community to connect with them before trying to integrate some kind of change, so that the change comes from within the heart of the community and not from, the social worker on the outside.
Great.
So tell us a little bit about your capstone project, because it does have a community engagement component. You're taking a lot of the knowledge that you've learned in your classes these past 2 years, or 1 year if you're advanced standing, and now you're applying it and doing a community-based project. So tell us a little bit about what this capstone project is that you've chosen to take on for this final year in grad school.
So the theme of our capstone project is about engaging women in leadership. When we became a group together, we knew that we wanted to do something about women, but we weren't sure what. So we did a lot of data collection and did a literature review. And what we discovered was that even though there's a lot of noise and discussion around empowerment of women, and it's kind of like a buzz theme, there's not a lot of actual results from it. So statistically speaking, women are receiving more college education degrees than men, but they're still not rising professional leadership roles. We also discovered that statistically the biggest barrier of that is lack of networking opportunities and lack of mentoring from other women in leadership. So we decided to design a conference to kind of help promote that networking.
And our conference will be held on April 10th. It's 2 weeks from today. It'll be on a Wednesday at 11:30 at the downtown campus. The conference will include breakout discussions by different speakers from all different disciplines. We have someone speaking about politics, human services, business, more holistic engagement. We have someone speaking about mindfulness, meditation, also about vision boards and more artistic discussions. Lunch will be provided, and the goal of the event will just be to have women talking about leadership, learning skills on how to become leaders in their community. Also, there'll be a component about mentoring, how women can learn from each other to help become leaders in the community.
So when your group had it, you said you did some literature review and you did some initial data collection around women in leadership and sort of why that's an issue near and dear to your hearts. How did you come up with the idea of doing a conference, and why a conference versus something else?
I think that we thought that we wanted to do some kind of event that would provide a space for women interested in pursuing a leadership path to interact with people who are female leaders in our local community. Because we had talked about different approaches, maybe doing like workshops or going out and doing different things at different, like the Y and stuff like that. And then we decided having one big event that would allow not only some discussion and some formal workshops on leadership, but also a space to allow some organic leadership and mentoring relationships to maybe occur.
And what's the name? I like the name of your conference. You didn't even mention that yet. What is the name of your conference, and what does it mean?
Sure, so I'll take that one. So it's Rise, Reach, Inspire, Soar, Excel. We actually spent a good amount of time sort of fussing around with the name, and we had consulted some people that sort of focus on communication, and we really took time to be mindful of the narrative behind the name, and we changed the name sort of midway through the year. We really just wanted it to be inclusive and exciting, and we wanted to draw people in. And so I think that there was a lot of thought that went into the name, even though it seems kind of simple.
And how have you gotten the message out? How do people find out about this event?
I know there's a Facebook page for the RISE conference, and that's also linked to the Albany School of Social Welfare's Facebook and social media accounts. So that's one way.
There's actually two Facebook pages. The Facebook page for Social Works, which is our group name, is actually still under the Ladies of Leadership LOL page because Facebook wouldn't let us change it. But all the information on there, and we didn't start a new one because we had so many people already following it. And then on that page, there's more direct link to the event. So the full Facebook page has a space for discussions that are happening now about women leadership, and invites people that are on the page to talk about what they're interested in and kind of build some excitement. And then there's an event page as well. So that is the main way. People can also email us at socialworksalbany@gmail.com if they have any questions or they want a link to the registration SurveyMonkey registration link. We can send it to them.
And that was Social Works with an S,
Correct.
Albany@gmail.com.
Yeah, correct.
And who might a potential audience member be? So if someone's listening to our show and kind of wondering, I don't know if this is for me, who might your target audience be for this conference?
No, go ahead, Michelle.
Our target audience is young women ages 15 to 25, but it's open to anyone.
Okay.
So anyone at any age, any gender, anyone is open to attend.
Yeah, at this moment we have early 20s, mid 20s, up until the 50s.
Okay.
So it's really for any woman who wants to learn more about leadership and make connections within the community.
And so is the idea for the event to be networking primarily, or is it, sometimes when you hear the word conference, you think, I'm going to be sitting in a chair and lectured to for 2 hours. What will it actually look like on the day of?
It's a combination of both. So we have the beginning of the conference, we have one speaker who's going to talk about mindfulness and self-care and how that supported her development into leadership. And then we have breakout sessions, and each of the facilitators of the breakout sessions have been asked to do kind of a combination of telling their story and what skills and development, but also making it interactive. We took great care to make sure that every breakout session reached a variety of topics. So even though we're social workers, we acknowledge that maybe not everybody coming in is pursuing social work. So we have breakout sessions on women in politics, women in leadership, in corporate worlds, women in who started their own little businesses based around like art and stuff like that. So we have a variety. And then at the end, we're going to come back together for a final speaker who's going to do an interactive artistic expression. So we wanted to kind of avoid that whole sitting in a chair being lectured at. We wanted to make it fun, interactive, fast-paced, but it's also set up so people that we know, that it's a weekday, so people could come in and out even if they needed to, based on kind of their flexibility as well.
It's really important to engage the community. That is one thing. And April is Public Engagement Month, so I'm really excited that this is falling during that time. So what is one of the goals for the conference? You had said there's different topics. So self-care and mindfulness, leadership in business and politics, women leadership and diversity, and then you're closing with leadership in the arts. Mm-hmm. So we've mentioned the network and we mentioned bringing people together. Are there any other goals that you have for this event, or that if you had to tell somebody why they should come to this event, what makes it a special event? What would you tell people? Because I want to know if I should come too.
You should definitely
come.
You should 100% come. There's a spot for you, Lisa. But that's actually a really great question. So one of the things that can be a little daunting for people to feel like they can be a leader. Just the idea of assuming a leadership position can seem, sort of something that's far away to reach. And to make sure that people understand that you can be a leader at any point in the community, in your organization, and really understanding you don't have to have a certain, position or role, that you can be a leader, sort of in any way, and what that looks like. And I think, having speakers talk about how they got into their journey and where that started, for many of them, it didn't start in, a formalized leadership role. It started in their communities, in their schools, on a very grassroots, basic, simple, level. And so I think, just gathering women and men together, to be a part of the solution and the discussion, and really understanding how can we make leadership accessible for everyone. So that's our, I would say our overall goal.
And to have that representation. So like we said with the numbers, you sometimes don't see women in leadership. So we also wanted to make sure that the women that are coming and presenting, we are a diverse group, not just in their disciplines, but also as far as like having women of color present and just women of different ages, women that could connect with across audiences. Yeah. So we wanted to make sure we have that representation so that anyone come in there can see, okay, me as a woman of color, me as an older woman, me as a younger woman, I can still, take this path and be a leader in whatever career path or social path that I choose. It's
really striking to me. I mean, you're having this event on the downtown campus of the University at Albany, but this is not primarily for University at Albany students or members. This is really about the community. It's about engaging young women and women of different ages in the community to come to our university and be a part of what you have to share with them. And so I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, we chose it in part because it is so accessible to the community. It's right on the bus route. It's right in the heart of downtown. So we wanted to have it where people could get to it and have it accessible to anybody.
Absolutely, and I think, there's something really to be said about when you have, women of different ages and backgrounds coming together, really just, sharing that space, sharing their knowledge and their, awareness of community resources. There's something super magical about that, just something that you can only experience if you're all together in a group. And so I think having a conference and not limiting our target population, but really just trying to be as open as possible and engaging the community, in that way was a goal for us. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so the capstone course that we talked about that the four of you are taking is called Community Engagement and Social Change. So you've talked about community engagement, and this is a way, as Laqueena, you just put it, to engage the community and get them here to the university. What's the social change piece? What type of social change would you ideally want to see come from this project?
I would think more visibility of the women in our community holding leadership, specifically professional leadership roles in our community, and just helping the women feel more visible, be more visible, because we have a community of amazing, inspiring, hardworking women with so much to offer, and just giving them that platform to be seen and to increase their presence.
So increased visibility, increased engagement, inspiration, certainly inspiring young women.
Yeah, and definitely like an increased sense of confidence and the ability to be a leader, and an increased knowledge of what community resources are out there. Who can you engage with? Who could mentor me? If I'm a leader in the community, or I want to be a leader, in whatever environment that I'm in, what are the steps I need to take to get there? What are the skills that I need to hone in on or harness or learn? And so I think a lot of that is going to be embedded into the conference, into the discussions that we're going to be having as well.
So before we wrap up, I just want to introduce our listeners. If you've just tuned in, we're listening to a group of social work graduate students here at the University at Albany. The 4 students with us here today are collectively called Social Works with an exclamation point. And that enthusiasm is certainly part of their team. And the students are Laqueena Fernandez, Michelle Knight, Jill Holland, and Christina Hess Al-Junaid. And the 4 of you collectively have come up with this idea of the project of the RISE Women in Leadership Conference. Did I get that right?
Yes. You did.
Okay. So we've been interviewing and talking with the 4 of you. So I'm curious to hear a little bit about what you've learned through, you haven't had the conference yet, but you've been preparing for this for a number of months. What have you learned about community engagement? What have you learned about social work?
I think that it gives us the opportunity to really understand on a profound level the depth of the importance of knowing the community. So you can sit in a classroom all day and they can stress, professional ethics and the importance, but until you really feel that difference when you're speaking to somebody and having that, or a group of people, and having that personal relationship with the community, that's where you really understand the depth of the importance of not going into a community with the intent of bringing a project or creating what you would identify as a positive change without first hearing from the community that is a desire that they have and a goal that they have. And I think this opportunity provides us with the ability to do that.
And this is a student-driven project. This is a project, an idea that you came up with yourselves, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Why is that important?
I think it's important because it shows how passionate we are about the topic. I mean, all 4 of us were very diverse in our backgrounds. I mean, even in our education, 2 of us are macro students and 2 of us are micro students. So it really gave us a chance to kind of work together and bring in all our different skills that the 4 of us have.
It can be difficult, I know, sometimes with community engagement projects to get, particularly when they're hosted here at the university, to get people to come to the university, because we're viewed as, sort of an island within the community. And so I guess I'm wondering if you have some thoughts about how your team has been successful and how you hope you'll be successful in getting diverse groups of people to actually come and engage with you here at the school.
So I think the idea that we had was not to sort of recreate the wheel, if you will, but to sort of go out and see what already exists. We're just a group of 4, women, 4 MSW students, and, there's a lot of resources that we could already tap into. So it was more about partnering with, local nonprofits that already exist, that are already doing the work in the community, serving the population of people that we were, targeting and focusing on. And so I think a lot of it was just, reaching out to them and sitting down, having a conversation, or, talking to them on the phone, asking them, what is going on in your community? What do you see as the need? And how can we work together to, reach that common goal? And so that was a lot of the way that we were just ourselves. We went out and we were just our genuine, friendly, open, social worky selves. And, people found us. We actually ended up, Laqueena can talk a little more about that, but we ended up partnering with a local founder of a nonprofit, so I'll let Laqueena take that.
So the nonprofit is called She's a Boss. So they also facilitate mentoring between college-aged women and other women who are already in the field. They also go to other colleges and kind of help them put on different conferences or different events to try to get them involved in event planning and the process of becoming a leader themselves. So the founder, her name is Liska Wilson. She actually signed up to come to the conference and then was very interested in helping us promote the conference because we kind of were on the same page of building that mentorship and really getting women to become leaders within the community. So we met with her and we were able to establish a really great relationship with them. And they're helping us to promote more to the Albany community.
Great.
Great. We have that partnership in place.
So I guess I'm curious. I'd like to hear what the four of you have learned from this process so far. The event hasn't happened yet, so I'm sure there'll be much that you'll learn on the day of. But in terms of getting to where you are with this project now, what have you learned about yourselves? What have you learned about community engagement? What have you learned about social work?
I think one of the things, because I am a micro student, just logistically, some of the things that I've learned has been about grant writing and just the reality of those challenges, of having an event is how to secure a space, what is the pacing and the timeline for promoting an event, grant writing, how to connect with those kind of services, those kind of relationships and resources. Just on that level, as a micro student, we focus a lot on the people skills when it comes to the community, but not as much on that. So for me, that was, just like logistically a learning experience.
Yeah, I'm also a micro student, so I learned a lot about just, macro social work in general from this course. Everything from the process of grant writing to securing a space, engaging the community, also just like funding and like everything that goes into planning a huge event like this was a huge learning experience for me.
I think for me, probably the most important thing I learned, well, not the most important, but one of the key things I learned was that it's a marathon, not a race. Last semester we spent a lot of time doing sort of laying the groundwork and doing the research for this project. And this semester has been more about like the execution of that project and leading up to the conference in 2 weeks. Just sometimes, when there's event planning, you can feel a little stress or worry, and it's just, having faith that it will all work out. And I'm lucky I have 3 amazing team members, and so, learning about different communication styles, what each of them has to offer, and what our individual skills are and what our strengths are, has really helped. And I didn't know Jill or Michelle before this class, so now we've all become really close and good friends. So it's been like a nice process, sort of just walking through this with them. So thanks, guys.
Great. Laqueena?
I think for me, just the process of community engagement was the biggest one. I didn't really have an idea of what that looked like. I didn't know if we were going to be knocking on people's doors, saying, hey, come to the conference, or just the process of how that would go. So really going through that and, engaging different agencies, engaging members of the community, getting people to actually try to come and attend. That whole process has been very interesting, to say the least. And then, again, working in the group, like they've all stated, just kind of realizing what each other's strengths are and playing off of those. We each have a strong network of people that we deal with outside of school, so tapping into those networks to really move the event forward.
So the four of you have put together this conference, which is called RISE, the Women in Leadership Conference. And I see the four of you as 4 future leaders. So I'm really curious. I'm going to put you on the spot a little and ask you, each of you, sort of what you hope to do with your careers and what you hope is the next step for you in social work after you graduate.
Oh, you
Get
asked
the licensure.
the big question.
No pressure.
The looks of fear.
I think my first goal is to get my license.
To get the license, right?
Yes.
Sure that happens.
Practical matters.
Practical matters to get a license. Yeah. My long-term goal, I don't know. I want it to be some kind of combination of micro and macro together. I strongly believe that they are intertwined deeply, and I have a love for both. So wherever I land, I want it to have kind of a component of both.
Yeah, for me, in the next several years, I'm definitely looking to do more clinical work. I really like working one-on-one individually with clients out in the community. But long term, I do see myself maybe trying to do something with macro, maybe combining micro and macro a little bit, maybe like program directing or something like that.
Great.
I would like to not do clinical work at all. If I can get away with that. I want to go straight to macro if I can. But my long-term goal is to have my own not-for-profit. I really want to focus on parents who are pursuing higher education and providing some kind of supports for them. Because I've been through that process myself, and if you don't have the support system in place, it can be very, very hard. So that would be my focus in the future. So right after school, again, getting a license and hopefully finding a decent job.
Great.
Oh, I'm last. All right. So I actually have a clinical job lined up for after graduation.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Which is interesting because I'm a macro student, but definitely learning a lot about myself professionally, and I've grown so much in the last year. And I realized just engaging in the community and sort of having that boots on the ground view of what's going on is where I thrive and where I want to be for now. But I do have a long-term goal of developing my own programming and having my own nonprofit organization. I've begun to develop my business plan. I think Laqueena and I are going to be partners in the future. Mm-hmm. I really want to focus on teens. I think there's a lot of programming for younger youth, and especially after school, statistics showing, the types of activities that you can engage teens in and really, shielding them from some of those risky behaviors that they end up, getting involved in. So that's my long-term goal.
Well, maybe you'll meet some people at the RISE conference who are nonprofit leaders already, and maybe you can connect with them or clinical individuals.
Yes, that'd be great.
So the RISE conference is Wednesday, April 10th from 11:30 to 5:30 p.m. at the UAlbany downtown campus, which is 135 Western Avenue in Albany, New York. If you are interested in registering for the conference, please email socialworks with an S at gmail.com. Sorry, let me say that again. socialworksalbany@gmail.com. I'm so used to saying the albany.edu email address. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
And we'll include links to the registration for the conference on our social workers website as well, too, right?
Yeah, so thank you so much for coming on today and talking about your conference and for creating this, because like I said, this is something that you didn't have to do. You could have just said, it's my last semester, I'm going to take a class, and not have to do a big project, a community-based project, and have to plan and organize and be on a podcast to talk about it. Not that there was any pressure to do this at all. So this was something that you guys did on your own, and I commend you for that, because it's something that can not only help you grow as students, but it can also help those in the community. And again, it's during April, which is Public Engagement Month. So this is open to the Albany community, and we hope that a lot of people listening will take advantage of this conference, that it is free and open to the public.
It's free, it's going to be fun, there's free food, there might be some prizes.
Yes.
Sign up.
Sign up.
We will see you.
Yeah. Thank you so
you've been
much.
listening to the Social Workers live radio talk show here on WCDB Albany. And the students that we've had here in the studio are Laqueena Fernandez, Michelle Knights, Jill Holland, and Christina Hess Al-Junaid. 4 really shining examples of UAlbany students making a difference in the community and working together for social change. So we've enjoyed having you on the air, and we hope you'll come back later and tell us how the conference went.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. We'll see you at the conference.
You're listening to The Social Workers on WCDB Albany.